Hey everybody, Christian Grest here. So if you're like me, you like triggers, and there's all sorts of different options out there on the market today, and I have a few of my favorites. Now recently I got a new trigger assembly from my friends over at Brownells, and this was a new style trigger for me personally. So let's go ahead and take a look at that and see how it compares to a standard mil-spec trigger. Okay, so the trigger that I just got in from Brownells and installed on a project that I'm working on is actually a Geissele trigger. And I'll be honest with you, this is only the second Geissele trigger that I've ever purchased. My go-to trigger for the money has and probably will be for the foreseeable future the LaRue NBT2S two-stage trigger. Okay, and I have done previous videos on that trigger, but Geissele does make an awesome trigger. They tend to be on the higher end as far as price wise, so I try to maximize, of course, my performance to price. However, this is for somebody else's build, and they wanted a Geissele trigger. So I looked around and I saw what would kind of fit what they were looking for. They weren't really looking necessarily for a precision type trigger, but they wanted a fast trigger. So hence the Geissele rapid fire trigger from Brownells. So if we take a quick look at this thing, this of course is the instructions that comes with it. So what do the specs say on Brownells website about this particular trigger? So the rapid fire trigger, or the B-GRF, was developed to give semi-automatic only rifles a glass smooth trigger pull, very similar to the Geissele Super Select Fire SSF trigger designed for the U.S. Special Operations community. The B-GRF is a fast shooting, smooth trigger ideal for 3-gun competition and recreational shooting alike. It pulls like a single stage but resets like a 2-stage. The 2 trigger springs are included, so the B-GRF can be set up with a pull of either 4 pounds or 3.2 pounds. So we're going to do a little bit of comparison here. And what I have, of course, is my trigger jig assembly from Strike Industries. I did a review on this a while back. And I have my trusty basic old Wheeler trigger pull gauge. All right, so I'm gonna try to do this on camera as best I can so you guys can see it. So here I went ahead and just to give you guys a comparison between a mil-spec and a non-mil-spec trigger. So this one, like I said, is just a standard old mil-spec trigger, nothing super fancy. So I'll go ahead and reset this guy. You can see here I got 7 pounds. I'll do it one more time just to, okay, so 6.5 pounds. All right, so it's just under 7 pounds, which for a mil-spec trigger, that's probably about right. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Geissele trigger, and we'll take a measurement of that. So just to show you guys, this rifle is in fact clear. Okay, and then here you can see the famous G logo on the trigger. So this is a curved bow trigger, not a flat bow like some of the other Geissele ones are, which that's kind of a personal preference. I'm okay either way. However, the flat bow triggers, you do seem to have a little bit more control for precision work. So let me go ahead and set up my trigger pull gauge here. So there you can see right at 4 pounds. I'll go ahead and reset that guy. And it looks like it's pretty consistent. So around 4 pounds. Go ahead and do one more just for good measure. And it looks like about 4 pounds again. Okay, so consistently pulling right about 4 pounds with this trigger. And I'll tell you what, I got a chance to shoot this trigger at the range recently because I was kind of finishing up this project here. This trigger, I was a little uncertain about it initially because of the description. When you pull this thing, it feels like a very light trigger. So you guys can see there. and there's very little creep till it finally breaks there. They do state in some of the documentation that it's not really meant for precision work, but I'll tell you, I was able to do a little bit of precision work with this build out at the range the other day, and you know, you just gotta kind of take your time with it. However, where this trigger here really excels, in my opinion, is how fast it is. So when you press this guy, the reset on it is pretty short, and then you can get back on it. So do it one more time here. Okay, so this trigger was quite surprising to me, and it's actually a pretty reasonably priced trigger. So I think these run a lot of times on sale somewhere around $150 or so. Yeah, they are more than the LaRues that I typically use. However, you don't have to wait for these. LaRue triggers, unfortunately, they have quite the following, and sometimes you're waiting 6 to 8 weeks to get one of those in. However, Geissele triggers seem to be in stock for the most part over at Brownells, including this one and some of the higher priced models as well. And they do have a lower priced two-stage, a G2S trigger as well that I'm actually considering trying that out on a future project. All right, so that's about sums up the quick look at this trigger from Geissele, this rapid fire trigger that I picked up from Brownells. So if you're looking for Geissele triggers or other style triggers, other manufacturer triggers, definitely check out my friends over at Brownells. I have a link tree down in the description, and if you follow that over to my link tree page, you have my affiliate link for Brownells and other companies that I'm affiliated with. So it's much appreciated. Definitely helps the channel out with buying parts and stuff for review. You know, kind of keeps things going here. So question for you guys, what's your favorite trigger? There are so many triggers out there these days that it's almost mind-blowing how many options we have. It's a great thing to have options, but for a new shooter or somebody new to the gun world, it can get a little overwhelming when they're looking for which way to go with an upgrade, or maybe they're having a build accomplished for them. And of course, if you ask one person or the next person, they're gonna have their favorite trigger, and they're of course gonna recommend that. My favorite trigger is a LaRue. Doesn't mean it's the best trigger out there. There's a lot of good triggers out there. Anyways, put down in the comments, what's your favorite trigger? What do you like? What's your go-to? What do you go to if money is no object? And what do you go to on the cheap? All right, so it's always nice to see what other people's thoughts are on that. And you know, I'm always looking to learn from you guys. Maybe I see something that I haven't already seen before. So anyways, I appreciate everybody watching and subscribing, and I will catch you all in the next video. Y'all take it easy.